Welcome back to Harrelson Trumpets. Today we are looking at the world's only gyroid tuning slide designed for a trumpet, and this is a Summit 1. So I'm going to dive right into talking about this horn. I'm going to show you up close what that tuning slide is all about, and we'll talk quite a bit about it today. Obviously it's the same one that's in the backdrop photo there. This just came back from plating. As you can see, you can look directly through the gyroid pattern because it is a 3D, it's a full three-dimensional repeating TPMS lattice structure. And really, the reason that exists is because we want the most efficient designs with the least amount of material and the least amount of weight. So this TPMS design really very well complements the Summit 1 design. And the Summit 1 was a limited edition of 100 trumpets. Some of you know this. I didn't build all of them. I had a few that I put in reserve and saved. This one is number 97 of 100. And this one was built with lead pipe 7 and bell 10GX. So this is a very unique instrument and design, but also a unique configuration because lead pipe 7 is very rarely used. And bell 10GX is almost never ever made. There are a couple reasons for that. They're not the greatest reasons. You know, it's not because there's something wrong with them or it's because they're the most fantastic. It's just that it's a very, I guess, specific design and setup for this configuration. So lead pipe 7 is much larger than most of our lead pipes. And bell 10GX is essentially a 10G, which is a gold brass bell with a larger diameter. So we do offer the 10X and the 10G, but rarely do we ever offer a 10GX. So that is different as well. I will play it for you here in a few minutes, but I want to say this is the only one I have. It's the only one I'm ever going to build. And the main reason I built it was to test this gyroid TPMS tuning slide. Now, the original idea was to put this on the new G4 series because it is a G4 tuning slide. It is a red brass tuning slide made out of one solid piece, and there was no machining involved. So completely new techniques. It's extremely efficient, very easy to play. The reason I didn't introduce it in the G4 was because my concern was, and I've got the G4 sitting right here, my concern was you would see it and say, oh, I want one of those. Well, I'm not sure that I want to offer the gyroid, especially at this time. And part of that is because it's more difficult to make, it's more expensive, and we really want to focus on the core G4 series, which is primarily about playability and the design and the lightness, and of course the price points. The price point of the G4 is $74.95 for the one I just showed you. The price point of this Summit 1, because it is really the most efficient weight to efficiency ratio that we offer, this horn in the way it's configured right now is much more expensive than the G4. I really want to focus on these, but I built this as a prototype. I think there's one more Summit 1 prototype that will come out. The last one that I had, I think, is spoken for. I'm working with that client right now, but I think somebody already ordered it. So there's only one more Summit 1 that will ever be built. And this is a $12,000 horn. That's a $7,500 horn. There are massive differences between them. And the majority of it comes down to the engineering and the machining of this. And this is, of course, a limited edition. So there are no more, like I just said, especially with that TPMS gyroid. So with all that said, the G4 series, if you get the standard simple strut version, this one right here, and you have purchased a Harrelson trumpet from us in the past, directly from Harrelson, then you can pick one of these up for $48.95 in brass. Compare that to $12,000, obviously a huge difference. However, that $48.95 is going to expire tomorrow, so if you are a previous Harrelson client and you would like to get in on that deal, now is the time to do it. And if you're not, the price is $58.95. that's actually the best price we're ever going to offer for people that didn't buy one from us in the past. And that price expires tomorrow too. So I'm just telling you guys, you know, whenever these promotions end, this is the first week for the release. When they end, usually the following month people ask for that discount, and you're not going to get it. So the only time you can get these prices is through tomorrow. And if you have questions, you should really call today, because I know for a fact tomorrow a ton of people will call and I won't be able to get back to all of you. And I should give you our number, 303-657-2747. I know it's tempting to just wait till the last second, or you make the decision to pull the trigger at the last second. I know how you guys think, because I work with trumpet players every day. Like I literally sell hundreds of trumpets every year, and I build custom trumpets, at least 100 every year, if not closer to 150. And about half of you like to wait till the very last second to tell me you want something, and then you want it right away. And you know, that makes it more challenging for everyone, but I'm not going to budge on the promotions. If you see the price and you want it, then buy it. Otherwise, you're not going to get it. That's fair. I think that's totally fair. So with this one, the Summit one, number 97, with the TPMS Gyroid design, I'm not going to go too deep into that in this live video, but you will see another video on this horn. I'm going to produce one that explains more of how and why it's really so amazing, and it's revolutionary, and it's probably going to change the landscape for trumpet design in the future. I don't expect things like this to be incorporated by other companies for another 10 or 20 years, but it will happen. I know for sure it will, because this is so much more efficient, and the weight ratio is so much better. If you've ever played a Summit or a Summit 1, then you already know, like, your playing goes from here to there almost instantly. It takes a couple days to acclimate. Once you realize you've been overblowing and you're working too hard on your new horn and you back off a little, everything becomes very, very easy. Once you learn how to use the VGR system and you fine tune your impedance, and you learn about how to do that, then things become even more easy. And it's just, you know, your performance possibilities just go through the roof. And that's of course why people line up to buy our horns, and that's why they spend what you probably think is too much money. When you hear the sale price is $48.95, you think, wow, that's so expensive because I bought my Bach for $800. I hear that all the time. Back in 1957, I bought my horn for whatever price. Yeah, I know, but there's inflation, and it's been 60, 70 years since a lot of people bought their horns, or since somebody bought it for them. The reality is, I mean, just inflation itself would make a Bach trumpet from that long ago more than the price I just said for, you know, a new Summit G4. So when you account for inflation, if you look at the price of a gallon of milk or a dozen eggs or a brand new car or a brand new house, those prices, the inflation is way higher than what we're talking about with the new G4. It's closer to what it would be for this Summit 1. So I know it seems like a lot of money because, you know, because of inflation and because we're not in touch with every single value. But the reality is, for a custom-made horn built right here in Denver, Colorado, where almost nothing is made in the United States anymore, this is a really, really fair price. And even the $7,500 price, when all the promotions end, that's really a fair price too. I mean, you're getting a truly custom horn. And I'll work with you to get the right lead pipe and bell and all the other parts to configure it the way you want it. So let's play this horn. I have not played it yet, and there's no insert in there yet, so I'm just going to play it without. Feels nice even without an insert. I'm going to put an insert in here, so I just unscrew the receiver, and then I'm going to put one in the receiver. I've got a whole pile of them here, so let me just, I'm actually going to pick a random one because I've got a big pile. I pulled out a bunch out of one of our drawers, that have not been measured. Essentially what happened was people came into the shop and they tried horns, and somebody here, maybe myself or Christine or someone else, worked with the customer, and we had the inserts, and when the customer left, we threw the inserts in a drawer instead of putting them away, which we should have done. So now I have a pile. I don't even know which one I put in here. But let's feel it and see what happens. I can put my mouthpiece back in. Well, it definitely feels more comfortable. Excuse me. So having the insert that fits you well is going to give you a better impedance match. And what I mean by that is the size and shape of your oral cavity as you play a specific note has a specific amount of impedance that should match the entire instrument. And we use the VGR, or the Venturi gap receiver, as a way to adjust the feeling of the horn based on all of the variables. The mouthpiece internals, the inside of your mouth, how that changes, because every time you play a different note, higher or lower, you're changing the oral cavity shape and volume. And then also the lead pipe and bell and the entire mapping of the interior shape and size of the instrument. All those things have values, and if we can balance them out just right, you get more resonance. And already I can tell with this insert, I'm getting more resonance. When you match the resonance closer and closer to what works for each individual person and mouthpiece, you will get to the point where everything resonates a lot easier. You feel that balance between flexibility and slotting. So in other words, how easily I lock into each partial and how easily I can slide between the partials. So sliding between them. Being able to slide between them can be very, very advantageous for certain types of music. It can make life a lot easier if you can slip off of each partial onto the next one, but also we want to land on the next one maybe solid enough that it locks in, and we call that slotting. So we've got flexibility where we slide between the partials, and then we want to be able to lock in on each one. So I can do both because whatever insert I put in here just happens to be one that works for me. I'm going to see which one it is. All right, so it looks like it's a number 8, and the Venturi is not written on there, but it feels like probably a 342. Let me explain those numbers. A 342 is 342 thousandths of an inch diameter at the beginning of the lead pipe. So this system now adjusted the lead pipe length and diameter. So the entrance is 342, I'm guessing, it probably is, but 342, and then the length is 8. Well, 8 is actually short for 80, or 80 thousandths. So it's less than a tenth of an inch in terms of the space between my backboard end and the beginning of the lead pipe. And that is called gap. Now that gap can really adjust the flexibility and slotting. The Venturi number, the 342, would adjust the airflow, and the two of them together, when you work with those in your backbore, will adjust your impedance ratio to increase resonance. And that's different, like I said, for each person. So this feels really, really good. That feels really, really good. Of course, it helps that I'm playing on one of the best horns I've ever built. That tuning slide is extremely efficient. It feels very even throughout all the partials. Like I said, this is the first time I've ever played this horn, so I'm going to spend a minute just messing around with that. That really does feel like even response on every note in the upper register. And the upper register is where they a lot of times don't feel even. Starting at the top of the staff. That does feel very, very good. So normally, if we don't have a really well-designed, high-efficiency tuning slide, and we don't have all of the impedance ratios really set up right so that they match the player, then we typically will have some notes properly and don't have as much presence as you approach the top of the staff. Now, that's true of pretty much every Bach trumpet, no matter which generation or which model. It's true of most Yamaha trumpets, but not as bad. It's true of pretty much all Schilke B flats. The reason that happens isn't because there's something wrong with the designers or the people or where they're made or the name on them. It has nothing to do with that. It's literally the physics. When a tuning slide is made, a standard tuning slide is a tube that has been bent. And when you bend the tubes and ball them out, which is a whole process, you essentially have taken the outside of the tube and made it thinner. And when that thin tubing is in a place where there's an antinode, which is the high pressure wave series of the wave inside your instrument when you play partials, if that antinode lands on a bent tube, it's going to exert enough inertia to put the tubing into motion, which means it takes the energy from your sound wave and makes the tuning slide move, or some other part of the horn. And every time you play a higher partial, you get another set of antinodes and nodes, and essentially there's one more antinode every partial higher. So as I play higher and higher, I get more and more of them. They're evenly distributed throughout the horn. When they end up in the tuning slide or even the bell crook, then they can really cause this problem where the note does not want to speak and it doesn't want to be as present and stable as it should be. I'm definitely not having that issue. So I'm not experiencing that whatsoever. If I had this series tuning slide on the bell crook, it would even be more stable. And that will be something that is introduced later this year. We have made them on the G3 series of the Summit, and they were fully machined. I don't have any to show you here. But the G4 will have the bell crook that matches eventually, and that'll be a $1,000 upgrade. So if you're waiting for that or you're thinking you want it, you can actually add it to your order now, and once they're ready, we'll build your horn. You will just have to wait a few extra months. But again, the pricing deal on the G4 is going to go away tomorrow. So if you want that, now's the time to do it. All right, so this is a live video. Sometimes I forget to go around the back of the camera and check for questions, but I remembered, so let's do that. Okay, I just have one comment from Tim. Thank you, I appreciate that. If you have any questions on what I'm talking about, now is the time to ask. I will be doing more regular live videos. I'll probably set up a schedule where you know when we're going to have them. In the live videos in the future, I have a lot of one-off things. Some of them are not trumpets. They just may be interesting things that you want. And some will be trumpets and mouthpieces and other things. But I will bring back these live sales. So in the past, especially through COVID, I would pull something up on the camera. Let's just find something here. So, like I've got this tuning slide, which it isn't something I'm going to sell, but I've got this tuning slide. In previous videos, I would say, oh, well, I've got one of these and I don't need it, or I'm not going to use it, or I would just want to offer it to you guys, and I'd offer it to you at a special price, and whoever purchased it first on the live video got it. I will be bringing that back. So it's a lot of fun, because if you're looking for something that's unique and I'm discussing it on the video and you want to own it, then of course that's an option for you. And the only reason I haven't been doing this is because the last few years since COVID, I've just been busting my butt doing all the research and development for all the new horns. So like this TPMS tuning slide, it's not something I just like magically made one day. It took years to learn how to do this and to invest in all the software and all of the techniques to be able to make something like this. So this being the first one is a really big deal to me. If it weren't the beginning of the year where sales are slow, and if I weren't investing in so many new things, I would just keep it for myself, because honestly, it's so amazing. To me, it means so much, because to get to this point, it's just insane. And for those of you who are engineers or builders, or some of our customers are in aerospace, or you might be machinists or developers of different technologies, then you may have a better appreciation of what this really means, because this is just insanely cool, and it's something that has never been done. Like, to put a TPMS lattice structure in almost any object that you could personally own is pretty much unheard of. And that's simply because the technology to create this is so expensive, and it's so relatively new, and it's not something that's going to be done in a mass-produced anything right now. So it has to be custom made every time. But yeah, this horn is so fun to play. It's really cool to have that really big lead pipe and the really big bell, because this produces a much bigger, warmer, and brilliant sound. And it has that tuning slide, and it's a Summit 1. It's like kind of the whole package. All that to say that I will be bringing things on the videos, and I will be selling them to the first person that says, yeah, I'll take it. It's all these things most of them will be things that you're going to get them for less than normal. And one of the reasons I want to do that is simply because I have a lot of stuff that's really amazing that you guys probably would really like to play on or own, or maybe something to set on your desk because it's just a cool piece of technology. I literally have thousands of things like that, because in all the prototyping that I've done to create these instruments, I have had to build sometimes 20, 30, 40, 50 different variations of something to get the one that we actually use. And then I have all those, and sometimes I'll scrap them all and just melt them down and start over. And sometimes I'll sell them, and a lot of them go in boxes. And my basement at my home and my studio is so filled with all these cool kind of like development artifacts that nobody gets to see, and it'd be great if you guys got to own them. I'm actually going to grab the camera and show you what's on this bench right now, so you have an idea of what I'm talking about, because these are all things just sitting here that were for my last video. So check this out. This is what we're looking at on my bench. I've got the horn I was just holding, the G4 simple strut, and then here is the G4 honeycomb, which has, of course, the honeycomb tuning slide and bracing and finger rings. And those are all, the new horns. So these are things that are just sitting here because they were part of my last video. And we've got all kinds of bracing. These are braces that are not part of what we're talking about. They will become available on probably some custom prototypes in the future. These are those inserts I was just telling you about. Here's a set of Muse braces that were fully machined. And the video may look a little funny because if anything is green, like I'm shining it on a green screen right now, if anything is green in the video, it's going to erase it and put that background on there. So you might be seeing a little bit of that happening on these parts. I can't turn that off while I'm doing this video, so I apologize. Look at all these tuning slides. I've got all kinds of tuning slides that have not been put together yet. This one's out of titanium. This one's solid aluminum, extremely light. And then this one is stainless steel, and it's got a really cool kind of a neurons deep engraving in it. So all this stuff is sitting here. Chuck, I see your comment. Thank you, I appreciate it. I hope to see you again sometime. I need to get back out to Louisiana. So let me put this back up here. Does anybody have any questions for me? Essentially I'm doing this video to show off this horn so you guys can see it before it's gone. And I'll be photographing it here in a few minutes, putting it on the website. I don't know if it'll sell really quick or not. It probably should, because it's such a unique instrument. The price for this is going to be $12,000, and I know some of you are saying, wow, that's just a ridiculous price, it's too much. I'm 100% confident that this trumpet, if you keep it in great shape, is going to be worth well more than that down the road. You know, I was trying to figure out what the pricing should be on this horn, and you know, I probably spent over $100,000 in just technology to be able to design this slide before I even made it. So $12,000 isn't that much. It's only $4,500 more than a G4. So I guess I'm trying to justify the price, but I don't really have to. I think, you know, this horn will most likely end up in a museum someday because it is one of those firsts, and it'll be one of those things that, you know, maybe not priceless, but it'll have a higher value. And kind of wish I could keep it, but got bills to pay and lots of more stuff to buy here so we can improve our technology and our production. So I wanted to show off this horn. Of course, if you have questions on the G4, like I said, the honeycomb and the simple strut are the ones we have available right now. And if you do order one of these right now, you do get that discount that I just mentioned, which will expire tomorrow. So now's the time to do that. And I'm happy to answer your questions on that. And we do have payment plans. I didn't mention this in the last video, but I'm pretty sure you can put either $500 or $1,000 down and get on a payment plan for a G4. And if you lock it in now, then you get special pricing, whereas that pricing will, you know, disappear as well. So I don't remember what all the prices are, but if you go to our website, yharrelson.com, you can see that you could do $1,000 deposit and pay like $1,000 a month or $500 a month, and we'll work out payment plans if you want something different, but those are just kind of the standard ones we put on there. But that makes it a little easier to own a really high efficiency horn that's going to take your playing to the next level. And you know, the biggest advantage is the fact that you're not going to have to work so hard when you play. If you have a horn like this, essentially you tell it to do what you want it to do, and it's going to do that. Unless, of course, you have some like major deficiency in your embouchure or your technique, it will do exactly what you ask it to do, which is very, very different from playing, say, a box strat or a standard horn. Because with those, you really do have so much energy that's bleeding off into vibration that every single partial and every single note has nuance to the point where you spend all your time just trying to figure out how to play a scale or a simple piece, because there's no consistency and stability in the entire scale, the chromatic scale throughout the horn. So when you do wide interval leaps on other horns, it can be very, very challenging. And I'm not saying that this is going to make you the best player in the world. You still have to put in your time and your energy, and you still have to practice. But your time and energy is put into something that's going to reflect your efforts rather than diminish them, you know? So that's the main reason I do this. The reason I started this company many years ago was because I wanted to be a better trumpet player, and my idea was to develop this technology to solve my problems and then go win an orchestral audition and play as a principal player in an orchestra. That was my selfish 21-year-old idea. And as I tried new things and experimented more and found that all my friends wanted one of my horns, I realized, wow, I could probably serve the community way better by just developing instruments and the technology than selfishly getting the position I wanted in an orchestra. And to be truthful, I would really love to play in an orchestra. I love orchestral music. I also love jazz and many other types of music, and I've enjoyed playing them, and I've toured, and I've played in lots of different groups over the years. But, you know, looking back on it now, I truly think that this has been way more fun than being a performer, because I've had the chance to meet thousands of amazing musicians. Quite a few of you are like the very top end musicians in the world, and a lot of you are somewhere between there and, you know, a beginner, and that's perfectly fine, because I've learned so much from you and I've had so much fun you know, working with you and trying new things and designing. And the truth is, I love coming into work every day because I get to make things like this. You know, I get to pull off the shelf a horn that I built that has a TPMS gyroid design. You know, like, that's just completely insane to me. And nothing against professional musicians. I respect you and I enjoy that, and I'd love to be doing it again. But honestly, like, I do have kind of the coolest job in the world when it comes to trumpet players, because I literally can make whatever I want, and the only parameters are that it has to work well so that you will want to own it. And that is just amazing. So that is the Summit one. I'm going to check for any more questions, and if we don't have any, I'm going to go on and photograph this horn and get it on the website. Remember, if you have questions on the G4, if you want to put a $500 deposit down and get going on a G4 series, now's the time to do it, and give us a call. Our number is 303-657-2747. Let me check for questions. All right. Oh yeah, Tim says he loves his Harrelson. Yeah, that's awesome. You know, those of you who own our trumpets, or mouthpieces, or any of our other components and solutions, I would ask you to please share that with other people, and also write us a Google review. There's a spot right on our website where you can just submit a Google review if you click on all the reviews you see, or you can go to Google Maps, type in Harrelson Trumpets, and you can put in a review. It means the world to us, and it also helps other people understand your experience. And you know, the more you write, the better. The more honest you are, and the more you share, the better. Like for Tim, I know you came and visited, and we worked together. So if you could, you know, lay out a paragraph for Harrelson and your experience here and seeing the shop and working with us, that means the world, not just to us, but also to anyone else who's considering a Harrelson trumpet. We don't pay to advertise our name. We don't pay anyone to play our horns. We don't have sponsorships or any of those things. We are literally word of mouth, and what you say about us online really does make a huge difference, and we appreciate that. You know, because that's literally why people come to us, is they either know someone who has one of our horns, or they've seen one, or they heard a recording or a video. And the more that you can share your experience, the better for everybody. So I appreciate that. And that's true of any company. You know, if you love some other brand trumpet or their mouthpieces as well, then I encourage you to do that for them as well. Because the truth is, all of the manufacturers who are really building the high-end custom instruments, we all need more support. Right now, we're dealing with a lot of really cheap imports coming through a few different people in this country, or at least in the United States, that are being marketed as somehow better because we tweaked to this or that, but they're all made in China or India or places where there's not a fair wage, and it's really not, in my opinion, fair work or fair employment, and also the quality shows. It's just not the right quality. It's unfortunate to see that, you know, because we see so many people that are spending $2,000 or $3,000 on something that was made for $200 or $300. And I know the prices of all these things because all the manufacturers in China and everywhere else try to get us to buy their instruments and sell them with the Harrelson name on them. And we would never do that, mostly because we just really care about the quality, and we want it to be made right here, knowing that we have really done everything possible to make it exactly the way it should be. We're not looking to make cookie cutter horns that last for a couple years. And I really think it's so important that if you own any instrument or really anything made by a small company that's doing it themselves, that you owe it to them to leave them a great review. And I'm not just talking about me, I'm talking about anybody. If it's Greg Black, or let's say it's Schilke, or Adams, whoever it might be, or Shires. I mean, you know, Shires, they're still making the instruments right there on the East Coast, and it's really important to support those companies, because if you don't support them, they're going to disappear. And I would like to encourage that and discourage all the cheap imports, because man, so many people have just been flooded with instruments, and if you look at the used market, it's like there's a million of them, but are they any good? And they're kind of mediocre almost across the board, which I guess is fine, but I don't know, I think you guys deserve something better. If you're going to put all your time and energy and your passion into what you love to do, you should probably own and play on something that really does perform at a higher level. So thanks again. That was my little rant. I'll see you guys next time.